Hello everyone, it's Daryl again, and here in Michigan you can see it's a little bit of light snow. We got about 1.5 inches or so, maybe 2 inches of snow overnight, and it's still flurrying a little. And this isn't really too cold for this time of year here, late January. But the 07 Lincoln's due for an oil change. Actually, it's a little overdue. So I had to do the Mariner Hybrid today, which is the same as the Escape Hybrid. We already got a video up about that, on how to do that. It went very easy, no problems. So now we're going to do the 2007 Lincoln Navigator with a 5.4, which is identical, and how you would do it on a Ford Expedition also. It's not going to be anything really special, to tell you the truth. It's just going to be basic oil and filter change. First, I'm going to line up the ramps. I've got these little drive-on ramps here that really do quite a nice job. They're plastic, but they're solid underneath, and they're really well built, and they're really secure. I'm really happy with how they work. So that's what we're going to set up here first. Just line up the wheels, make sure the ramps are straight, and then we're going to get in and pull it up out. I let the car warm up just a little bit because oil will drain out better and quicker, and more of it will drain if it's warmed up as opposed to being super cold. Alright, so we're going to drive a little differently when we're putting up on the ramps. I have the left foot on the brake pedal and the right foot on the gas, and we're just going to ease it up the ramps until you start to head up, and then you feel it roll over the front lip of the ramps onto the flat spot like that. Then you apply the brakes and put it in park. Apply the parking brake, and we're good to go. Well, you could chock the wheels too, put something behind one of the rear wheels if you want to be extra safe on top of using the parking brake, but that's really up to you. I can't get to the parking brake with my foot here because my knee's too big in the way. As soon as we open the door, we're going to set the parking brake. There we go. Hang on. There we go. Parking brake's on. And now we're going to go outside and do the oil change. When you get under here, you'll notice the drain plug on these is actually quite a ways toward the back. Quite a ways back here. Right up here on the back side of the oil pan, right there. And while you're under here, you can have a quick look around, see if there's anything going on that's a little weird. I do have a little bit of a oil leak right here coming out of the front differential. Looks like one of the rear front axle seals might be leaking a little. Actually, maybe a little bit on both sides. Not a real bad leak yet, but will require some attention before too long. Alright, first thing we're going to do is remove the drain plug. Position our can underneath. It's a 16 millimeter, so we'll just put a ratchet handle and a socket on there. We'll pop it loose. There we go. Alright, there it is, draining. It's nice and black, because I haven't changed this in quite a while, honestly. It's probably been at least 7,000 or 8,000 miles since I changed it, maybe a little more. And we're not going to do an extended drain or let anything really fancy or rinse it or flush it or anything like that. We're just going to let it drain out for a couple minutes here until it comes to a small drip. We're going to wipe the drain plug off and clean it good and inspect the surface of it, make sure it's not damaged. Then we're going to wipe the face of the oil pan where it screws into off. Alright, the drain plug looks good, nice and clean. The rubber gasket in there is very solid, no damage. You can see our oil here is just trickling out now. We're just about ready to put the plug back in. And I say it's kind of cold out here, and I just don't want to lay out here too long today. And the important thing about getting this done is actually the fact that you got it done and didn't let it drag on for thousands and thousands of extra miles. That's more important than worrying about whether or not there's a quarter cup of oil still left in the crankcase. No torque wrench really required. Just give it a good solid pull. You don't want to strip it off in there, but you don't want it coming loose either. I want to wipe these axle shafts off while we're under here, just to get an idea. If I look at it again in a few days and see how much it might have dripped again in a few days. There we go. Alright, oil's good. Now we're gonna remove the oil filter. That's further up front and a little bit different angle to reach that. Alright, on these 5.4s, look at the front of the car. Here's the bumper and front end, the tow hook, the little weather flap here, which seems to be hanging down in the wrong spot for some reason. I think it's supposed to be up under here, I think. I think it's supposed to go up like that. I'm not really sure where that goes. Anyway, there's a drain tray right here. This is where the oil from the filter, when you take the filter off, is supposed to run down and run out this channel down into your drain. So you want to position your catch pan underneath this little spout right here. And if you look up in there, you can see the orange oil filter right up in there. I know a lot of people don't like Frams. They complain about they're not the best oil filter. But you know, if you change it often and change it every time you change your oil, you're not going to have a problem. Plus, the nice part about the Fram is they have the grip coating on the end of them. And you can reach right up in there with your hand, grab a hold of it, and spin it off by hand. As long as you didn't tighten it down crazy tight when you put it on, which I make sure I never do. You know, oil filters really don't have to be super tight, so I'm going to reach right up in there, laying on the ground with my left hand, reach right up in there, get a hold of it there, give it a little twist, and here it comes. A couple spins, and it's going to start leaking out right down the channel like I told you it would. See it not running out the channel onto the thing. It will be in a second here. There we go. And we pull it straight toward me, and down. And there you have it. Didn't even spill any into the drain channel there. The only thing leaking now is the oil leaking right out of the mounting plate where it screws on at. So we didn't even spill any into the channel at all, hardly. There's no leak there. We had a little bit run down the back from the engine. We did it nice and quick, pulled it straight out without tipping it, and it worked out great. Now we're going to set the oil filter upright on this little special spot here so that it can drain. We extended drain the oil filter so there's not as much oil in it when it goes in the garbage. We're not sending all that waste oil inside of the filter to the landfill. All of the oil will be collected into this pan here. And then I take mine to, you can take it to anywhere, like an AutoZone type store, auto parts store. Most of them take it for free for recycling. I take mine to an auto service garage down the street from me about a mile. They have a oil-based heater that they heat their garage with, and they actually reuse the oil as is to heat their garage facility, which is really kind of nice. It's like instead of recycling it, it actually gets used right away without any extra processing involved. So, all right, now we're going to install the new filter. We're going to coat the ring of the filter. The rubber gasket on the new filter will be coated with a, like, take my finger, wipe it in the new oil, and run it around real quick to lubricate the thing. We will lightly screw it into place until you feel the base gasket making contact with the engine, and then we'll turn it another 2/3 to 3/4 of a turn after that point. Alright, what I did is I dipped my finger in the oil. We'll set that there and hold this. Dip my finger in the fresh oil can, and then I use it like this around the rubber gasket just to paint the rubber gasket with a bead of fresh, clean oil to lubricate it and help it seal better. And then we're going to grab the gasket in my left hand, roll over this way. You can see the base plate where it mounts to right up in there if you look close, right there. We're going to reach up in here and you'll feel it, just clip right into place. It'll like wobble right into place, and you'll just lightly spin it until the threads catch. And once it catches, you'll know, because it's going to just screw right on. And there it goes. Now we're just going to lightly spin it on until we feel the base gasket making contact with the motor block, or the base assembly anyway, I guess we'll call it. Alright, we've made contact. We can feel where the contact hits, and then we're going to give it like a 1/4 turn at a time. There's 1/4, 2/4, that's a half, and then a little bit more, like 3/4. You know, I say you don't want to overdo it. You want to have it tight, but you want to be able to reach up there with your hand and loosen it too. So there it is. Alright, we're going to fill the oil now. This whole process really, once you've done it a couple times, you can do it in probably 15-20 minutes or less. It's really not hard. The 5.4, most tires nowadays, hold about 5 quarts with the filter. And conveniently, the last few years, oil companies have started selling their oil in convenient 5-quart jugs instead of gallon jugs or just single quarts. So all you gotta do is buy one of these 5-quart jugs most of the time, and you're good to go. I've noticed on the bigger V8s that sometimes 5 quarts isn't quite enough. after I check it and put it down off the ramps, I'll check it. Sometimes I have to add another half a quart or so to it. So, but what I always do is I open up the valve fill spout, and we're going with a 520 weight oil. Always inspect it and make sure the inside of the cap is clean. Sometimes you get a little bit of moisture or gooey buildup in there from humidity. And I'm going to use a funnel. Got some snow in there. Let me wipe the funnel out and clean it real good. Alright, the funnel's in place, clean. We're installing 5 quarts of 5W20 SuperTech oil from Walmart, which I've used on a fairly regular basis in a lot of my cars and had no trouble with it. All my cars have a lot of miles on them, so it must be working okay. I also had good luck on another car I had using the Motorcraft brand semi-synthetic oil, which is also a really good oil for the price. And with the semi-synthetic and the full synthetic, you can actually squeeze more mileage in between your oil changes without causing any problems. The synthetic lasts longer and doesn't break down or draw as much moisture. Really, one of the worst things about oil is drawing and holding moisture, and the synthetic oil is really good about keeping that problem under control. Alright, so I like to just let the fresh oil drain for a couple minutes and make sure we get as much oil as possible out of the jug. And you can see it, I had it in the house where it would stay warm so it would flow better, so it's not going to be a lot of it left in there to actually drain out. So we're just about done here. And then I'm going to start the truck. After I put the cap back on, I'll start the truck, let it idle very slowly. I'm not going to give it any gas or anything until the oil has a chance to build up pressure and circulate through the system. Then we'll back it down off the ramps, turn it off, let the oil settle for a moment, and then check it. And we'll be back to show you how it goes. I always take a little bit of oil and lube the O-ring on the cap too. Put it on my finger just like I did on the other seal on the filter, and I put it right around that O-ring on the filler cap. Alright, we're down off the ramp. I've shut it off, took the cap back off, put the funnel back in, because I know we only put 5 quarts in from the initial container, and from experience I can say that these 4.6s and 5.4s usually take 6.5 quarts to top them off once you've changed the oil and filter. So since our jug had 5 quarts in, we're going to use the scale on the side here, and we're going to add 1 more quart, probably even maybe a little bit more. I'm sure it's going to be about 6.5, but we're going to put some more in here. Where are we at now? Alright, there's 1 more quart. We just put in 1 more quart, so that's 6 quarts total. Now we're going to come over here, we're going to check it. Gonna take the dipstick, twist it a little and pull it out. And we're going to wipe it off. We always wipe it off and then reinsert it to check it. Make sure when you're checking it, you push it back down in all the way. You don't want to short stick it and make you think that there's less oil in there than there really is. Alright, now we're going to try and get a view here. Alright, now we got just about 5 quarts in there, and it's still showing just at the very bottom of the full range, which is almost another quart. So we're going to add at least a half quart, maybe close to another full quart. Alright, I don't know if you can see that very well or not, but we're right up at the top edge of the hash marks for the full line. We could put a hair more in if we wanted to, but I think we're going to call that good. And that was 7 quarts. While I was under here, I topped off the windshield washer fluid here. I inspected the battery terminals, made sure they were clean. Inspected the brake fluid level, the engine coolant level, power steering level, and I could, while I'm here, I suppose, pop off the air filter and have a quick look at the air filter. The air filter is held on with 2 little metal tabs that you just snap off, little snap tabs right there and there, and then it lifts up and pushes in. Alright, there's 3 snap clips that hold the housing in place. The air filter itself is not too bad. I'll change it in the springtime, but for now it's okay. And I did take my air compressor and I lightly blew across it to just blow any loose dust particles of that in it out. And we're going to put that back in now. This just drops right into place like that and sits down. Now we're going to put this back into place. A little tricky because you got to loosen this fitting here and slide the tube in while pushing it down into get all these 4 tabs here lined up, and then drop the front down and put the snap clips back on. When you get done, just make sure all 3 clips are snapped into place, that you have a nice tight seal around here. This is pushed all the way on, and that all of your clips on the back side are in their grooves. And we should be good to go now. All right, did I mention we used a pH2 oil filter? Now we're going to get inside and do one more thing. I'll show you how to reset the oil change monitor on the car. Alright, we're going to go to the setup button. Pressing it once brings up the system check. Pressing it twice brings up the oil life check. Then we're going to press and hold the reset button until it recycles and goes back to 100%. And then we press the info. If you wait a few seconds, it just goes back to its standard screen. Or we could have pressed the info button to cycle it back here quicker. All right, and that is our oil change tutorial for the Expedition and Navigator. And don't forget to have a quick look underneath after you've let it run for a few minutes to make sure there's no leaks and you didn't forget to put anything on, or that the oil is not gushing out underneath on you. It's going to cause a problem down the road if it is. So give it a good check over after you've let it run for a couple minutes. Make sure it's dry underneath, it's not dripping, and there's no warning lights on your dashboard, and you should be good to go for another 5,000 to 7,000 miles. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.